I'm gonna miss some stuff, but probably have a higher hit ratio.
Yeah.
But you know your persona, you know.
But I also know this sales process coming from it from a marketing perspective, and this is what got people going in the beginning. This is what attracted me. This is why I chose to learn from these 5 people, right? Because I wanted to learn all these different things.
Fair enough.
Right?
Another great thing, because I learned in different places.
Yeah, exactly.
So I never trusted the video. So it's tough for me. At some point, there's just a small disconnect, if I'm honest about myself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, I talked about that blind spot before. Like I know it's a known blind spot for me. Like I haven't learned anything from anyone's video.
Yeah. Of course.
I think they're fugazi largely.
Really?
Particularly the longer they get. The less to the point people are, the less I believe them.
Is that because you went to Harvard?
I don't know. That's what that part is a blind spot.
It has to be though.
Okay.
You've learned this from such a high level, right? So now you're talking to people maybe not as educated in the grand scheme of private equity. They don't know private equity to the level of someone who had a Harvard education that comes from the street or what have you.
Sure.
However, the translation is what we really are talking about at the smaller scale. Because right now, this is not Harvard material. This 1 to 5 million space is, it can go guerrilla, right? You can go street with this. And it's like, I don't need to know what you know, Mr. Harvard MBA, to get this small deal done. Because you know what? I know how to talk to Bob, the HVAC guy, better than you do.
You do. Then let me push you. My friends at the Harvard level are competing with Bob's HVAC dudes in Bob HVAC land.
Okay, expound.
Meaning, my guys that were on Wall Street doing $100 million deals last year are calling me to go do a $3 million deal now. They've never talked to a person that's owned a $3 million company. Never.
Wouldn't even know what to say to them.
But neither has the operator at that same $3 million firm. He's never talked to the owner about a deal. So one's kind of coming from a below standpoint, one's coming from above. But I think if we think about our avatars, they're either people who are already making investments, so they've already had conversations with people of this ilk, or they're owners and they've created their own cash flow through businesses that they know that the value is a multiple of cash flow generally. And they're probably not too scared about competing with anyone because they're probably going to be doing deals in areas they understand to an extent.
And that's where they went. And that's the whole premise behind this. I fear no one in the $1 to $10 million space because it's my backyard.
There.
That's what I've done. That's how I've developed. That's how I started. That's how I developed. That's how I've grown. All in that space. So it's hard for you to come tell me how well to do that.
And the small bridge I think we're doing is in our different portions of the black community that we know the most, operate in the most. We're saying, you guys have been outside of this for so long, let me give you the small bridge. Everybody else has already been playing over here for ages.
It's a chasm. They're crossing a chasm.
Very small chasm. There's words, there's terminologies, there's understandings, there's relative risk scenarios, there's very small things that you can learn in 30 seconds, in 10 days. But if you don't have them in your mind, or maybe you don't have a Sherpa, or maybe you need some help to believe that they're true ahead of you actually seeing them and observing them in real life, you may need a little bit of nudge, but I'm telling you, these things that you observe in life are a function of people moving across this chasm too. There's no way to go from a 6-figure salary to $1 million net worth outside of 30 years or acquiring something. So either sit down and start talking about generational wealth because you're not going to get there outside of a retirement that may come in 30 years, or get to the getting, but you need to start now because you need to learn on whatever size deal you're comfortable doing now. You need to learn on it.
Absolutely. And to your point, like, so most people are learning about acquiring real estate. That is their #1 vehicle in our culture right now. But what they're missing is this massive, it's kind of like you're studying an iceberg, but you forget the massive glacier
Yes.
beneath the surface, which is private equity. Private equity essentially owns almost 20% of major businesses right now, but they're moving so quietly, and people hear the term, it sounds like taboo. They don't know what that term even means. Right? But and most people say, oh, that's like they're explaining a venture capitalist or an investment banker in place of a private equity person. But my point is that we are now bringing forth a new asset class that is very doable and tangible, but is done correctly, could be the most massive investment and wealth generator you've ever done in your life. And it's really that simple.
So maybe the concept could be simplified to, look, you're doing $100,000 in cash flow now, either on your job, your business is throwing it off, some of your investments are, plus your side hustles, whatever. Now it may be 5 times that, but let's just say it's $100,000 because you understand that, right? What we're saying you should go do is go buy $100,000 of cash flow out of an operating business. So now instead of having $100,000 one time, now you have it twice. One where you actively have to participate in creating it, other where it's passive and somebody else does the work. And I'm saying the mechanism to do that is to go buy a business that's doing $100,000 of cash flow that will cost you about 3 times that cash flow, that you can finance in a myriad, a whole set of creative or structured ways. And then once you do that one, now you have $200,000 of cash flow going in. Now maybe go buy something that's $400,000 of cash flow. And now you're talking about you've just gone from 6 figures to 7, because a $400,000 cash flow business is going to sell over $1 million.
And that's that is wealth generation 2.0. Right.
In this decade.
In this decade.
Not the 30 years you sit on your job, not the 20 years it's going to take for your real estate portfolio to materialize.
That scenario you talk about can be done in 3 years.
That's right.
Literally, you can buy a business a year.
That's right.
You can buy a business every 6 months.
That's right. That's right. Now, the question becomes, do you want to spend 2 years to understand what we're talking about, or do you want to sit down in a casual environment and learn it all in a workshop?
With the possibilities of having it done for you.
Exactly. At worst, learning how to do it in a truncated session, right? Because you're busy. Even better, done for you, because I said $100,000, that number may be $700,000 for you. And at that point, your highest and best use probably is making that $700,000 in the next 12 months. And if somebody can take the burden or take the problems of doing that $1 million deal off of your plate for a reasonable situation, why wouldn't you take it?
An acquisition partner.
That's what you need.